Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the RISMedia June 17th webinar, it's got the best title I have ever seen. How to find the money and put yourself in the middle of it. When I saw the title in the first place, I pictured myself rolling around in a big pile of dollars and cents. And so hopefully all of our panelists today can help us understand niche marketing that actually works, niche marketing that actually works. I am Cleve Gaddis, and I am very glad to be here moderating this today. I'm actually a full-time real estate agent with a team full of agents working right here in North Metro Atlanta. I'm also a master coach with Workman Success Systems. And so we help people grow teams that give them some good life balance, and we do it all across the United States and Canada. And I'm very, very glad to have you join today. If you want to ask questions, it's really easy. All of you have a question panel, if you will, on your GoToWebinar screen. Just ask questions. If it's a technical question, if it's something we need help from, a representative at RISMedia, they will actually answer the questions for us. If it is something that you want me to ask one of the panelists, or if you want me to ask the sponsor, I'm totally happy to ask questions of whoever you want me to ask questions to, because really it's all about you're taking your time to I see it sounds like we're getting some audio feedback. Not sure exactly what's happening. Hopefully that'll go away. Oh, it went away. Hopefully somebody with RISMedia helped us get rid of that. And Mac, it seemed like you had a suggestion there. I'm not sure what was going on, but you were.
I think it was just a perfect plug for technical difficulties there, Cleve. You were testing yourself, my friend.
Sorry. Yeah, so I wrote technical difficulties on the screen and then demonstrated for you what that looks like. But if you want to ask a question, please go to the panel, questions panel, ask a question. We'll answer as many of them as we can. If you have technical difficulties, a RISMedia representative will take care of it. And make sure you stay on until the very end. We have some great free giveaways, things that Christy uses in her business, things that Cory uses in his business, and Cory's actually even going to be surprised at some of the stuff we put together to help people get started working some similar programs to him. If you're anywhere near Cory's market, Cory wants you to make sure that you do not use these programs in his market. Yeah, sorry, Cory, I was just kidding about that. And Cory, you and Christy, I'll get back to you in just a second. But first, I want to recognize Mac Hill, who is a customer advocacy and influence manager at Boomtown. He has got on an amazing Clemson Tiger shirt. I live in Atlanta, so I'm only about an hour and a half from Clemson. I used to go to the Clemson Tiger football camp when I was a kid, so I was making fun of Mac and his choice of color orange. Now, I do have two daughters, Mac, that are at the University of Tennessee, and so color orange is just a little bit different. Unfortunately for them, their football is nowhere near as good as Clemson for the last few years, but who knows, maybe they'll come back.
They'll be back.
Yeah,
volunteers always bounce back.
Mac, welcome aboard. Thank you so much for making this possible. On months when I'm not moderating these panels, I try to go in and listen because they're always very, very informative. And if it weren't for companies like Boomtown, we wouldn't have the opportunity to do this. So tell us just a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Boomtown.
Absolutely. So my name is Mac Hill, as Cleve mentioned. I've been at Boomtown for 8 years in a variety of roles. Now I get to work with some incredible clients like Christy and Cory and Cleve here. But yeah, Boomtown in a nutshell, we have one unifying vision and mission here, and that's simply to make real estate agents more successful. We happen to work with some of the best in the business, representing about 40% of the Real Trends top 250. So we do have some incredible clients where we're able to learn from and take those tactics and techniques and the things that they're doing in their business and share them with the rest of our clients. And one of the things that we've learned over the years is that the power of Boomtown tends to compound itself. I don't want to get into features and make this a sales pitch to you all, but rather provide some social proof in the success that we help our clients with. And what I mean by that is generally in the first year, Cleve, if you can go to the next panel to help illustrate here.
Absolutely. Sorry.
It's all good. What we see is the average production volume of Boomtown sourced leads tends to gradually increase over time. So we have this compound effect, what we call the Boomtown effect, where in year one, you're starting to generate these leads, or we're helping generate these leads for you. And that with the sales cycle of a real estate lead, things really start to increase in value over time. And then the next one thing that we studied amongst all of our clients, we started looking at the average database size of our clients and realized that there was a direct correlation between the size of your database and your production volume. So, you're starting small, maybe a newer team or single agent has only about 1,000 leads in their database. We saw their average production volume was around 14 million, which is still a good year. But obviously with those big companies, you get up to 200,000 plus leads, they're up in the 200 millions in production. So there's a direct correlation between the size of your database and your production volume. So you got to be thinking about how I can get as many leads into my database and provide systems that nurture them along. So in a nutshell, those are some things that we do exceptionally well at Boomtown. So I'm just thankful to be here and be a part of this incredible panel. And if y'all have any questions, I'm happy to answer them for y'all.
Cory, Mac, I think I speak on behalf of everybody. I like the $220 million end of the graph more than I like the $14 million end. That's not a bad end, but the $220 million end, that is way, way, way better. So thank you. And Mac, I'm going to loop you in several times and ask for you to share some thoughts and good ideas, best practices, things that you see throughout the country. So thank you very much for being here. We've got two great guests. They're both from the Houston area. We've got Christy Buck. I've known Christy for about 6 years now, and I'm really excited to have her share what has made her and her team so successful over the years. And then Cory Kammerdiener. Did I do that correctly, Cory?
You did it right. You did it the German way.
It's nerve-wracking because you want to pronounce people's names correctly, and I'm like, oh my God, can we have a little less letters in your name, Cory? We need to shorten that thing down just a little bit. Next time, I'm gonna call you Cory Smith. But Cory Kammerdiener, I only met Cory in the last couple of weeks, and he is an amazing. He's just got so much energy, and he's so smart, and he does things that are so creative, and he has found his niche in the Houston area, and he is proud of it, and he sticks with it. Cory, so we're going to loop you in second. We're going to start with Christy Buck. Christy, I have a little bit of a different relationship with Christy because I've known her for 6 years, and I just love Christy. But let me tell you what I love most about Christy is I see people all the time who get coaching or who get some instructions from somebody who is competent enough to teach them what to do. And I see all the time where those people don't really change what it is that they do. And the reality is that Christy was raising two boys on her own, and she was making $250,000 a year in real estate. And she never missed a ball game, although she never saw an at-bat or a pitch because she was always on the phone. And I'm exaggerating, but she was always on the phone doing real estate while she wanted to be able to spend time with her sons. And so what she wanted to do is she wanted to make a little more money, and she wanted to have some balance in life so that she could actually focus on being a mom first and focus on being a real estate professional second. And I've never seen anybody, and when I say hook, line, and sinker, I don't mean Christy's gullible. She is extremely intelligent. She knows exactly what's going on, but I don't think I've ever seen anybody try to take programs that they're taught by somebody else and try to apply them sort of as purely in her business. So Christy, it is my pleasure to have you here. Thank you very much for giving your time to come and share with everybody today. The first thing I want to start out with, Christy, is tell us what is going on with the Christy Buck team at Infinity Real Estate in Houston, Texas, or Pearland, Texas, I should say. What happened during COVID-19 for your business? And I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but I'd love for you to share some things you've learned over the last few months.
Well, during COVID-19, we, with the coaching and weekly coaching sessions we have with Workman, decided that we were just going to rise to the top, do our very best to implement every single thing that we could during COVID to not slow down and not miss a beat. So we were very, very intentional with what we did every single day, even though it was remotely. With all of our activities were very specific in what we did, from virtual open houses, virtual showings, virtual listing appointments. Our stage year went virtual, and we actually did more in April and May of this year than we did last year.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
I just looked at numbers from the Atlanta market, and even though the Atlanta market was strong, closings overall in the month of May were down 33%. year over year. And I'm guessing that Houston's numbers will, maybe they might not be down 33%, but they'll be down. So you certainly bucked the trend, Christy, and congratulations for that.
Thank you. Thank you. Our team really just I mean, we're the first, couple of weeks, some people wanted to run and hide and just hunker down, but we just kept pushing them to go out and do the things that worked, and it worked. I mean, we had, like I said, a better year.
And what are a few things that you changed over? I know you started doing some virtual meetings via Zoom and things like that. Are there any leftovers from the coronavirus crisis that you'll continue to use in your business moving forward?
Absolutely. So even just down to virtual showings, just offering to show people. So we're, as you know, Cleve, we're very, very regiment on what we do every single day. So from our huddles.
I hate to interrupt, but for those of you who are listening, that is an understatement. For her to say she's regimented in what she does is an understatement. They are so pure in what they do. And we're going to talk about 3 different things as we move forward. So sometimes it's just applying that simple stuff better than everybody else does it. Right, Christy?
It is. It's doing what we know works. So, and we just did it remotely. So even our huddles that we do every single day, we did them remotely. And then the things that we expect them to do on a daily basis, we did the same thing. We just did it remotely. So even if that was looking on Boomtown, like we do every single morning, who was on in the last 24 hours, and then offering them, our team has to very specific guidelines, offer them something of value. Here's the seller's disclosure. And would you like me to go out today while you're at work and FaceTime you live and do a virtual walkthrough of the home and then see if you would like to come back in person? So many things that we started doing during COVID, we're just taking it to a higher level now. And in some cases, it's eliminating some of their evening showings, weekend showings, because the agents can go do it while they're here at work during the day, rather that's, a video or FaceTime live, and then eliminate a showing in the evening when they want to be with their family. So just a lot of little things that we altered during COVID that we realized, let's just take this and embrace it and keep going with it.
Well, thanks for sharing that. And I'm so proud of you and your team for doing such a good job during the coronavirus crisis. It's amazing to think that you could beat last year this year. And I know there's a lot of people on who are surprised. Christy, the first thing that you did or want to talk about from a niche marketing standpoint is you started focusing on builders, but you didn't focus on builders because you wanted to represent them to sell their new homes. You focused on builders because you wanted to be able to get all of the buyer business that comes with working with a builder. So let's talk about that. First of all, where did you get the idea? What were the few steps that you took? And then sort of what are the key steps, which we've got outlined on a slide here, that you took in order to make that a success? And when I say a success, I mean, we're talking about somewhere in 2019 between like 70 and 80 closings, I believe, from this particular builder program. So talk to me about this.
Yeah, so we're super intentional with developing the relationships with the representative at that location, whatever builder that is. So you can try to, our experience was you could try to go above and get into management and try to be their preferred agent. The bottom line is it's building the relationship with the sales associates sitting in the office. And when they see us out there on the weekends, knowing their inventory as well as they do, knowing when different homes will be built, taking their inventory sheet, building it into our best fits in Boomtown every single week, and then using those tools to make sure that we were the agent selling the most of their homes. We were just there. We were there, even if it was pop buys. Like when we did pop buys with our clients, we do pop buys with our builders. So whatever it was with that we were doing at the time, we were super intentional with it. And when they see every week that we're asking for their inventory sheet so that we can put it in best fits and then bring people out, people that say we want to wait 6 months, perfect. Get a builder inventory sheet, put it in best fit, and tell them this house will be ready in 6 months. So let's get going, on it. And so staying very involved with all the builder sales consultants. And I know different states do things different ways, but most of our builders won't pay us to list their inventory, but they will give us the buyer on the buy side that walks in and needs to sell their home. When they know everything that we're going to do to get a home sold, that sales consultant wants to use us because they need them to be able to buy that new home rather than just anybody that's doing radio or whatever it may be that says, we'll come all the way across town and sell a home. So they know what we do. We go over our marketing strategies with that sales consultant and tell them we're building landing pages every single week. We're building subdivision pages every week on your inventory. Even though we're not getting paid to continue to boost their inventory, we're getting paid in other ways, right? It's coming back. It's just, so we're showing that sales consulting, I'm doing best fits, I'm building landing pages, I'm building subdivision pages on your inventory every single week. So different agents in our office have different builders that they're going to work with,
Okay.
so that we're not overlapping.
And so I think this might be an example of a landing page for a particular subdivision. I'm not sure that I know exactly what I'm looking at, but tell everybody what you do on your site and how it attracts extra attention and helps you get some additional buyer flow.
So yes, we have somebody go out and video each subdivision. And I know that's a big marketing budget, but we would do it okay, we're going to allocate $600 a month and do 6 subdivisions this month. And it was the subdivisions we're most actively working in. And then when we're building these landing pages, subdivision pages, it's just the search engine optimization where it's pushing more people to their neighborhoods, to their specific house. And we do it weekly. So if we have a house that stays on the market 7 to 10 days,
Right.
It's going to rotate back to every 7 to 10 days. So yes, this is an example of a subdivision page in a newer neighborhood. And when I can go show the builder that this is what I'm doing to promote their neighborhood, and all the work that we're doing, it's just other agents are just walking in and, can we list your inventory? What can we do to be your preferred builder? But we're working on the front end to become their preferred builder.
Well, and what's interesting, Christy, is that not all agents even walk in with a cooperative attitude. So in a lot of cases, agents are like, hey, I got to justify my oversized ego by getting in here and causing this subdivision agent a ton of problems. And I'm sorry to be so bold about it, but that's kind of what happens. And it sounds like you took the opposite tack. Now, I'm sure if you're a client, you take a buyer in there, you'll negotiate faithfully on their behalf, and you know who is buttering your bread. In that case, it's your buyer. But you took an entirely opposite approach to what almost everybody else would in going and working with a new home subdivision.
Absolutely. Work for them, and then they will want to work with you than just asking for something without doing anything in return.
Yeah. And so did you get any pushback originally? Like you start showing up at the subdivisions and you start sniffing around and asking lots of questions. Did you have any subdivision agents that thought it was weird?
I think it depends on the sales associate, but some of them are just anti-agents,
Okay.
until they start seeing the traffic and we're showing them, this is the traffic that we pushed. We may not have ever heard from this person, but this is the traffic that we're pushing to your new home sales center. Even if we didn't hear from them, look what we're doing and getting you additional traffic. So, there's just some that are anti-agents, but
Yep.
once you really start building that relationship with them and showing them what you're doing, they're receptive. They see what we're doing.
And do you think that because you do so much business with the builders that your buyers might get a little special treatment? Sorry to ask that question in front of everybody, but I would assume if I'm going to use the term in bed with the builder, meaning if you have a good relationship with the builder, you can probably help your clients get things in subdivisions that other people don't even know about.
Absolutely. And they know that like the Christy Buck team brings them, I think we had closed, what do we say, 79, builder listings last year. So when they know that we're bringing them another one tomorrow and another one in a couple of days, they want to work with us and they know it's a smooth transaction. We're not there to, like you said, create chaos for them. We are going to all work together to get it to closing without creating chaos for the sales associate either.
Love it. And when you started the process, I would assume you tried to learn the inventory to get really familiar with it, but you were hoping to get some of the straggler listings, meaning, if they're finishing up a subdivision, there's 4 or 5, or there's some they can't sell. Is that correct for those who are wondering, like, what were they looking for in the first place?
Absolutely. So like I tell my agents, know every floor plan, know the square footage, know which lots they have left to build them on. Don't go push a floor plan that can't be built there anymore. So know the subdivision like the sales associate knows the subdivision. Be very aware of what lots they have left. But that's part of their weekly structure and what they're doing on their business plan. If one of their pillars is new home construction, then they're getting with those 5 builders every single week. So they're staying involved with, and then once we go under construction, they have to go out and take pictures every 3 weeks of where we are and update their client, not just wait until the very end and then step back in. So I expect them to earn their paycheck, not go sign them up and then show back up at closing or walkthrough. So every 3 weeks, and the sales associate sees that we're out there taking photos. We walk in, ask where they are, how things are going, if there's anything we can do on our end. Sometimes they'll say yes, they haven't got their docs into the lender. So we're working together to get there rather than just wait till the final hour and show back up.
One last thing I want to discuss before we move on to your second niche strategy. As you started building the relationships with the builders, I know you decided to provide them with an oversized amount of data on their showing and the traffic and stuff like that. How did you do that? And kind of what did you do? I know you've got other people that help you with that, but tell us about it.
So where we track, we have the every week reports where we can track like how many hits their house got on HAR, on Zillow, through our website being Boomtown.
Okay.
And then we can show them this is how much we boosted your house on this day, and this is how much traffic came to your pages. So really, when you have a tool like Boomtown, you can track so much stuff if you know how to do it, and then you use that as a tool. So we're able to show them how many showing requests, how many people viewed it, how many people favorited it, and then we're providing them with that information to show them what our efforts are producing.
And I would assume that this program has been, in your eyes, a tremendous success since the very beginning.
Absolutely. I mean, it takes time. Let me not say from the very beginning. It takes consistency and being out there in the neighborhoods. I even have my agent, I call it bird dogging the neighborhood. Where else can you go on Saturday or Sunday? And mind you, all my team members drive company cars, but where else can you just go sit in a neighborhood, drive around, hold a builder open house? People are driving the neighborhood all day long, look at new home construction. So whether it's that one or a different one, I have them sit out there in your company car. When you see people driving through, just approach them, tell them, are y'all interested in this neighborhood? Let me tell you about all the floor plans, and try to capture them out in the street before they even make it into the sales associate.
Yep, and I collected some numbers behind the scenes, and I think your volume of sales that you can attribute to your sort of new home program is probably $21–23 million last year. So you're talking about a lot of sales. Now, we're going into something, changing subjects here, going into your second niche market, and that is working your top 50, which are the 50 people most likely to give you a referral, and also working your past client database. And a lot of people would say, well, that's not a niche market. Well, compared to the way most people work it, the fact that you work it makes it a niche market. And the way you build relationships with your past clients and your sphere is quite unique. So tell us a little bit about that, please.
So our top 50, every single agent, when they start working here, has to have their top 50 built. And when we say their top 50 built, it's built with their kids' birthdays, their anniversary date, their home address, their email address. They have to put them in what we call, it's Facebook. You can group those 50 people together. So every single day they need to come in and just open up those top 50 people and make a comment, stay super involved with those 50 people. Whether that is sending a send out card, taking them to lunch, just being very intentional with maintaining the relationships with those people. And when I say send out card, I know a lot of people know what send out cards are, but they're very personal touches. So you can snag somebody's child's prom picture off of Facebook, drop it into a send out card and tell them your daughter looked absolutely stunning for prom. You must be so proud, right? So when they get that, they're not going to throw it away. I have some in my office people have sent me, and I'm never going to throw away a picture of me and my son, right? So it sits
Oh.
here forever. So we have the spreadsheet that Workman provided where you put your top 50 in, and every single month you highlight what you did for them, whether it was just lunch, a send out card, a pop by, a note card, handwritten note card. And at the end of the month, then you know that you touched all of your top 50 in one way or the other. And when it gets to holiday time, of course, we have the Pie Day, Santa, pictures with Santa. And if they showed up and we were able to sit and talk to them individually, then we can check them off. So every month your top 50 should be intentionally touched. But I also tell them when they do the cards, you don't always want to look like a vulture asking for business, but it's just kind of a standard in the corner. Don't look forward to taking care of all your real estate referrals in 2020. And then, but it's about their daughter, but you can have a small little note in the corner so that they're always remembering you're in real estate. So being super intentional every single month with those top 50. At the end of the year, if you did not get a referral from them, they're booted out, and whoever you got a referral from that you didn't expect is now put into your top 50.
Got it. So you made them start with a list of how many for their top 50? Was it 26 or 32 or 50? Okay. So that's the key to making the top 50 program, is to get yourself and everybody on your team to have 50. And a lot of people are like, well, yeah, but I'll work 200, but you can't really, Christy, work 200 people like you can work 50, right?
Right. And if you just get 50 more referrals a year by being that intentional, close 50 more deals a year, that's a lot. That's a lot.
So Cory, what do you think about that idea of setting up a Facebook group that is, for example, Christy's top 50, and everybody who's in it, they know that they're in it, right, Christy? And they know why they're in it. And then what do you think about that, stealing a photo from Facebook and sending it to them on a send out card? Is that not creative or what?
Yeah, actually the Facebook group is probably how you're going to get to the masses in the shortest period of time. So we call ours the NHP client loyalty group. So after they close, we put them in a special group that's a little bit more tailored for them versus our generic group of just potential clients. So they have their own special group, and it's an easy way to just, make a video, or if you host an event like I know Christy and them does, you can hit hundreds of people at the same time. So we don't have the 50 per agent because we don't have as many agents. So we use technology to get a little bit more people into our group there.
Yeah, love it. It sounds like Christy's using some of that technology as well. Mac, do you have a comment about people, who are good users of CRMs and how they use their past clients in their Sphere database?
I think it's just being consistent with getting them in there. Sometimes there's this hesitation with people putting past clients or their Sphere into a system like Boomtown, even though it's a true CRM, because we do a lot of lead generation for them, and they're hesitant to maybe mix that amongst their other lead sources. So it just comes down to getting them into the system, organizing it properly, so you can very quickly and easily sort and filter these different people out, and then leveraging some of the follow-up campaigns and tailoring them to your past client follow-up. So really it just comes down to a high level of knowledge and using the system and understanding some ways that you can customize and tailor campaigns to speak more directly to those people you actually know in your Sphere and your past client network.
Absolutely. And Julie Hummel is asking, Christy, are these Facebook groups private groups? And I assume the answer is yes.
Yes.
Yeah, they're private groups. So they know they're in it, and you can see everything they're doing, and you guys can communicate. You also, and we'll just hit this one really quickly, Christy, you're big on client events. You do Pie Days and all kinds of other things. And I know you do 4 or 5 a year. So let's just hit on this subject quickly. What events are you doing, and what are the things you've been doing lately that make your client events really produce referrals for you and your team?
So in the very beginning, when we did client events, right, we just hosted a great event, talked to everybody. It was a great touch. And then at the end of the event, you realize 10 people said, my mom might be moving, we're going to move next year, but you can't even remember all the conversations when you have 200 people at a client event. So we started doing it much more structured. They have to sign in at the sign-in table with just, please update your information for our records. And so it has everything, names, email, birthday. At the end, it says, do you or anyone you know, and as your team grows, it also has who was your agent, okay?
Right. Makes sense.
As do you or anyone you know have any real estate needs coming up? This is usually November, December, right? So we're saying in 2020. And if for any person that you add on here, you will be entered into a drawing for a giveaway. So if you give us a referral, we're going to put you in a drawing for a giveaway. We also, if we're serving drinks, we'll say that's how you get your drink tickets, is the sign-in table. Okay. And then at like pie giveaway, then we're also giving them the invitation to Santa, pictures with Santa, and their shopping day. That's always exactly 2 weeks later for pictures with Santa and shopping day. Same thing there. They have to stop at the table and sign in. And once we have the sign in, we can go through and actually call back afterwards and say, talk to me more about your needs. Enjoyed seeing you here. And we can go back and thank the people that came for coming. So you have more record of who was here. And we have agents that we would have Melanie sitting right there, and she didn't even realize that was one of her buyers, because she closes 75 deals a year, and she sold them the first house she showed them. So we want to be able to go, Melanie, that was your client, run over there and speak to them. So just being extremely organized about following up with them.
And I think it's based on your conversation with me, it's made a huge difference in the amount of business. I mean, because your business is a very big business, and I think you're like 40 or 50% from past clients in Sphere. It's a big, big number. And it wasn't that way several years ago, even though your business has always been very focused. So that is an amazing thing. The last thing we want to talk about real quickly before we switch over to Cory, I'm very excited about getting to him. If you have any questions, by the way, make sure if you're an attendee and you've got a question, you ask it, and we'll positively get it answered. And this is, it seems like not a niche market, but a lot of people who generate online leads, and I'm just going to call them online leads, whether they're Facebook leads or Google AdWords or whatever, the conversion rate on those leads is so low that they basically give up before they can make it work. You started buying online leads, you converted about 1% your first couple of years, then you bumped it to 2%. Well, last year on an online lead flow specific basis, you're up to like a 5% conversion. And if you're out there and you're an attendee and you're thinking, wait a minute, that sounds a little too good to be true, it has to do, in my opinion, Christy, with the way you follow up with your agents. So let's spend just a couple of minutes on some of the things you do to make sure your agents stay focused, not on the leads they get this week, but on the leads that came in last week and last month and 6 months ago. What are some of the things that you do?
So it starts with this week, right? So the minute that it comes in, we have an action plan where every single day it's nurtured, or it's qualified until we know if it's qualified or A, B, or C, meaning how long, A, hot, B, 60 to 90 days, C, a little farther out. And then every single week of every month in office meeting and huddles, Samantha says, what week is it? B week, C week. And then we're intentionally touching the B's and the C's. Now, what we've found that has really escalated us even closing longer term leads, B's and C's, and we're doing this till they tell us to die. So, 2 years later, we're still contacting them, just touching base. I mean, we're not bugging them. So if it's a C and they say we're just browsing, we're just going to touch them once a month. But some people that say that they're 60 to 90 days out or 6 months out, being intentional about why. And if it's, we need to repair credit, then having those conversations with them about, sometimes when you fix things, it brings it back to life. We've closed so many people just talking to them about what they really think the impediment is on why they can't buy, but being very, very focused on not just if it's an A, B, or C. If it's a B or a C, and we see they were online in the last 24 hours, 48 hours, still continuing to work them as they're an A. Right? Because they're looking. So we'll have dialogue and conversation for that. I know that you're still a few months out. Would you like to go ahead and take a look at this? If it's a builder, possibly we can have them start breaking ground for yours farther out. So even your B and C leads that are farther out, we can still get them under contract oftentimes, depending on their needs. So staying very, very focused on not just thinking that was a bad lead or they're not going to be ready for a year, 18 months. Even when we have a bad email, Melanie just closed a huge one. It was a bad phone number, good email. So instead of trashing them or archiving them, she just kept emailing them based on what they were looking at, and then sending them a seller's disclosure. I see you looked at this 2 or 3 times, wanted to provide you with this. They finally answered her email and said, my goodness, you were persistent. And we appreciate how you weren't pushy, but you always provided us with what, paid attention to what we were looking for. So.
And Christy, real quickly, I notice people keep raising their hand. I don't have the ability to communicate with you as you're raising your hand. So if you have a question, go over to the questions box and post a question there so I can get it answered for you. So I just want to close with you, Christy. Thank you so much. You are an inspiration to me in terms of how you take that business. You keep things simple, but you totally make it produce. And you just continue to stay involved. You as the team leader are actively involved in that lead generation, that conversion process, the discussion, the accountability. You handle things very positively. Here's where I see we can make some improvements. There's where I think we can make some improvements. And I think that makes all the difference in the world. Christy, thank you very much. We're going to switch over now to Cory Kammerdiener. He runs Newhomeprograms.com LLC in the Houston area. And I knew when I first started talking to Cory that we were going to have a good conversation. He is a 12-year Navy electronic technician veteran in a nuclear powered submarine. And I couldn't stay on a nuclear powered submarine for 35 minutes, much less the majority of 12 years off and on. I'd be going, get me out of this place. And so he's got a technical mind, and he's got some great niche marketing ideas to bring to you. So just real quickly, Cory, anything that your business did differently during the coronavirus that kind of set you apart from everybody else?
Actually, it's what we did prior to COVID that set us apart.
Okay.
So in the summer of 2019, we changed our whole business model from being an independent contract brokerage, hiring tons of agents, to forming up a mega team, but then also rolling out our W-2 plan. And thank God we did that because in our market of 39,000 real estate agents, 90% of them are on unemployment right now. Could you imagine if my 75 agents, if I still had them, that they would be on unemployment? How in the world would we have survived the COVID, right?
Well, certainly being on unemployment, they wouldn't have had a need to go out and get any sales.
Exactly, yeah. So it's what we did prior. Also with our broker model, we don't have a specific area that we focus on. We cover 9 counties, and we use the Regis Business Suite model, where we have these little suites spread out through the counties. So we technically had offices in 4 different counties. So as the Harris County, which is the biggest county in Houston, started passing laws where you couldn't go out of your house, you had to wear a mask, they had so many rules and regulation. Thank God 3 of our offices were not in Harris County, and we were classified as essential. So we never stopped working. We actually started doubling up in our work based on the lead volume ramping up during this time frame. Because think about it, if you're stuck in your house, what else are you going to do other than watch TV, Netflix, right? Or get on your internet and look at properties.
A lot of people did that. So when you and I first started talking, the concept that I heard from you was, Cleve, we take people who feel stuck for one reason or another, who feel stuck in selling a home, stuck in buying a home, and we help them get unstuck. Yep. And I thought to myself, I mean, that is like beautiful music. It sounded like a symphony playing that was just perfect, because in so many cases, and I heard Christy a few minutes ago say, if we have somebody that has a credit challenge, we put together a plan and help them get it solved. But talk to me a little bit about how you came up with the concepts, and then we'll dive into 3 specific programs that you use to help people who are stuck in really 3 very different ways.
Okay, so the being stuck in an issue, I learned that from the military. When I was a military recruiter, I wasn't 12 years on a submarine. I did a tour as a military recruiter, and I learned that there's a lot of Americans who want to serve their country, but how they got stuck was, number one, they couldn't pass the entrance exam, right? So I started tutoring people to get them in. or they were overweight, so they didn't make the weight requirement. So I ran them until they got within standards. So when I got into real estate, I worked for a home builder, used to be the biggest family builder in the state of Texas, and they gave me a car, they gave me a phone, a laptop, and said, get out in the streets, find people to buy homes in our 32 neighborhoods. And I did that. The problem was no one told me that they had to be qualified with the mortgage. You know, I was green. So I was bringing in contracts, and 7 days later, they were busting out due to finance. And I'm like, well, why can't these people buy homes? And the mortgage loan originators would always say, because they have bad credit and they couldn't pass through the automated underwriting system, which is the computer saying who gets qualified. So 17 years ago, I said, I'm not going to be driving people around to 32 brand new neighborhoods unless I know up front that they're going to be qualified. So the mortgage company at that time gave me access to pull credit on the spot. And then what I did was I educated myself on the 5 factors of credit scoring, because it's just it's a software, it's an algorithm, right? And I applied the same principles that if I can help you to get unstuck from having bad credit, then would you buy a house with Royce Homes, which was the builder that I worked for? Unanimously, it was always yes. So then after a year of doing that, I'm like, wait a minute, almost everybody in the city of Houston has bad credit. Why don't I become a real estate agent and I can sell all the home builders and all the inventory out there? So I just continued on fixing people's credit. I know the algorithm. I know what it takes to get the automated approval. And that was my niche. Will you use me as an agent if I fix your credit for free? And they would say yes.
Wow, so interesting. And let me circle back. Christy, we've got a question for you. Robert says, you don't have listing agreements with builders, but I assume you do have a listing agreement with the builder to list their home for sale, correct?
Yes, we have a generic one, yes.
So when you say a generic, a little more simple one than your state specific form?
Just that it covers that builder for any listings that they give us in each neighborhoods, and yeah, we have a listing agreement.
And the agreement allows you to generate buyer business and to take that buyer business as your own. Is that correct?
And that allows us to put it in MLS and work it.
Got it. So Cory, let's switch back to you. I am looking at a graphic of a page on your website, and you have like 11 or 12 different programs in there. I'm just showing you the first 2 rows. We're focusing on the first one, and I want to focus right there in the middle on the credit enhancement program. So I know you talked briefly about how that works, but like, what do you do? This is, by the way, what you see when you click on credit enhancement program. You know this, but it takes you to this page, and it talks about how you help people get their credit in the right setup to be able to buy a home and close.
Yep. So the first thing is, if someone has issues with credit, the number one issue is they don't understand credit. So I asked them, what is your credit score? And if like, well, it's not so good, but what is your definition of good, right? Because based on the FICO scoring system, someone who's a 750 or higher is classified as excellent. 700 to 749 is really classified as good. And then you have bad and fair. So it's a lack of knowledge. So the first thing I have to do is educate them on this is how credit works, and this is why you're in that particular position. And then we form a plan for them that's specific to them. And then what we do is we originate the plan and then we implement it. But this is the key part. You just can't tell someone, hey, go pay your credit cards off, right? No, you have to have a weekly follow-up saying, hey, did you pay it off? Send me your Credit Karma snapshot. Let me see that your scores are going up, right? We have a department that's all they do is write dispute letters all day long. Did you send the dispute letter out? Did you get the results back from that, right? And because we also own a mortgage company, we have the credit simulator. So if it's going to be an easy fix, we just punch in the data. It'll tell us exactly what needs to be done, and then we can give them that plan as well.
And so that means, like, for example, if their outstanding balances were this, you can plug it in and say, well, if they decrease their outstanding balance by $3,000, it would kind of give you an estimation of the rescoring?
Yeah, so any person that is a mortgage loan originator, when they pull credit, it has a simulator where it pulls up all the debts from that person's credit report, and you can manipulate the debts by plugging in different numbers. You can even say, what would happen if they close this trade line, or if they open a trade line, or they were added to somebody else's trade line as an authorized user. It'll give you a hypothetical.
Got it. What percentage of your business would you say comes to you because people know they need their credit to be in a different situation so they can move forward buying a house?
With credit being the #1 issue, out of 10 people, 5 are going to have credit issues. And what I'm saying is, it may not be specifically the credit score, it's they're not passing through the automated underwriting system, or a lot of banks, due to COVID, they now have an overlay where you have to have a 660 credit score just for an FHA loan. So that person doesn't have bad credit, it's just they haven't connected with the right mortgage lender that understands that that's an overlay. That's not an FHA guideline. That is a correspondent lender overlay or a retail bank overlay.
Interesting, interesting. Wanda wrote in saying, for a person with a 584 credit score and 2 things that need to be paid off, can anything be done with that? I'm not even sure you can answer that.
Most definitely. So at a 584, what that tells me is in the last 12 months, probably there's no late pays, right? There could be maybe one collection. So if they have open credit and they're above 50% on the balances, then in that situation, by paying them down to 0, they have a potential at easily 40 points, because the credit card balances is 30% of your overall score. So that right there is 150 points that are up for grabs just based on credit card balances. So at a 584, they technically could get a DU approval. But if they don't, our criteria is get them up to a 640. You see, but I'm not going to say that they won't get it at a 584, because again, FHA and VA, they're not credit score driven. They're pretty much, if we can get the automated approval, then you got it.
We're good to go. Interesting. Thank you very much for answering that, and Wanda, hopefully that's helpful for you. Now, the next program is the first time buyer program, and you said, hey, Cleve, #1, credit is a problem. #2, it's down payment. If I get credit right, I don't have the down payment. So talk to us about how you implement your first time home buyers program, which is really a down payment assistance program.
Exactly. So again, lack of education. When someone says, well, I want to wait until 2021 to buy, and I'm like, why do you want to do that for? I need to save up for my down payment. How much down payment are you trying to save up for? 20%. People still believe you have to put 20% down, right? So a lot of times you can say we have loans that are 0 down because of USDA or VA, or a minimum of 3% down on certain conventional loans. They might say, well, I have $8,000. What can that do for me? Well, all day long, you can buy a $200,000 home, FHA, your down payment $7,000. But if you don't have $7,000, we have programs that are at the state level, county level, and city level that are willing to give you money for your down payment so that you can buy a home in the state of Texas. Now, why would they do that? In Texas, we don't have state income tax. So who pays the firemen, the police officers, 911, the hospitals, the schools? It's people who pay property taxes. So it's a trade-off. I explained that the state wants you to own a home, because what you're going to do is you're going to pour money into the local economy. Don't you want to do that?
Yes, I think they'd probably rather keep the money, but they definitely want to be a homeowner for sure. And by the way, Wanda says Wanda says it's a T-Mobile and a utility bill. Sorry to switch back on that on the last question. So I don't know how if that changes your answer or not.
Yeah, so then that's a collection, or AKA a charge off. So in that situation, what you want to do is get that removed from the credit report, and based on how old that collection is. If it's a collection that happened 6 months ago, it could be dragging your points down by about 20. If it happened 3 years ago, it's probably only like a 5-point hit.
Perfect, perfect. So what percentage of the buyers that come through that need help with down payment assistance are you able to find them some money?
Really, it depends on what area that they want to look at, and also what type of buyer, because we are a .com, we are doing massive amount of business from relocation buyers. So if someone's coming from California, they don't need money for down payment. They just sold their home and they're sitting on like $400,000 in cash, right? But the local people in the Houston, within the city limits area, typically that demographic, they don't have a lot of money saved up. But if it was someone like in Magnolia, Tomball, the Woodlands, typically they're going to have their money for down payment. But it's not just about your down payment. Closing costs a lot of times is more than the down payment, because in Texas we do have pretty high tax rate, right? And our insurance premiums are high. So on FHA, typically your closing cost is going to be about 4% when your down payment's only about 3.5%. So using these down payment assistance programs, sometimes we convert the money over to pay the closing costs, which makes us very aggressive on offers now, because we don't have to beg the seller for a seller contribution when we can just get the state to pay the closing costs.
Absolutely. So you have all of these programs where you get people who come in who have credit needs to be repaired, people who come in who need down payment assistance. Not everybody can you help today. So what type of system do you use? I know you use Boomtown, I believe you do, and their CRM. How are you keeping up with everything that needs to be done to get people, from the beginning to the system popping them out ready to buy?
Okay, so I always tell people Boomtown is either going to be your boss or it's going to be your real estate assistant. When I say your boss, if you're the type of person who uses Boomtown and you're saying, Boomtown, tell me what to do today, then you're at the mercy of Boomtown.
Right.
But if you program Boomtown to do tasks that you don't want to do, like I don't want to make 1,000 calls a day, right? I don't want to send 1,000 emails or touches. So I program my Boomtown where it nurtures via text messages, emails that are going to go out, and then also things of value. So for example, we have a free home buying guide that automatically gets sent out to leads that whether they want to buy today or not, right? So with the Boomtown system, it is awesome for nurturing those people that don't want to buy today, right? So the people that do want to buy today, what it does is says, call this person right now because they want to do something within 1 to 3 months. So Boomtown is the heart of the operations. Now, to be outside software, we do free home buying seminars. Typically, I'll do about 30 to 40 a year, and I bounce them around to all the builders model homes. So when people say, I don't want to buy for another 6 months, but I know I want to live in Conroe, within that 6-month time frame, I'm doing 3 home buying seminars in Conroe. So what we're doing is we're inviting them out saying, hey, we know that you're not ready to buy, but I want to meet with you personally. I want to shake your hand and kiss your baby. Do you want to come out and get some free information? And by the way, the home builder is going to buy the food for you. So typically that is our number one strategy for the face-to-face touch.
And do the home builders help you market that program?
No, they don't.
Okay.
I market the program. I make the flyers that they can hand out. But honestly, yeah, the salespeople are kind of lazy. I know Miss Christy said they're anti-agents. Let me explain why. In the state of Texas, to work for a builder, you do not have to be a real estate licensed agent, and they don't prefer that you are one. So they never had to go out and fight for their business. They're very lazy, right? And they hate people that are aggressive and strong like Christy and myself. So yeah, they don't market my seminars. I have to spend, that's how I get them. If I spend $1,000 to get 40 people to show up, can you at least pay $400 for the food and the seating? Oh yeah, that's a great deal, as long as we don't have to do anything else.
Good, love it. And by the way, everybody loves Christy. Cory, I'm not sure why you were confused about that. Everybody loves Christy. Talk about your new home builder program and really the way you look at why buyers should buy new homes, because it's a very interesting take, very interesting messaging on why somebody should look at new homes versus resales. And then we're going to talk real quickly about some of your creative ideas on Facebook and Google AdWords just to share some secrets, and then we'll wrap this bad boy up.
Okay, so the first thing I'll tell you, I am biased. I started with Royce Builders. They had 4 different divisions of homes based on price ranges, right? So I started off as a new home salesperson before I became a real estate agent. So I'm 100% biased. I'm all for builders. So why would someone buy a brand new home? Number one, if you've never owned a home before and you've lived that apartment life forever, right? Do you even know how to change like your air filters, change out your garbage disposal? So it's the warranties that come with having the new home, right? A new home, technically you shouldn't have anything break down probably in the first 5 to 10 years. So it's a sense of security knowing that if I buy this home, are you going to have warranties in place, which builders have tons of warranties on the home as well as the appliances in there. So that's number one. Number two, because the state of Texas and the Builder Association forces a tighter built home, the energy efficiency of a home in Texas is phenomenal. I live in a 4,100 square foot home. My electric bill in the summer is $150, right? So the thing is, when people say, well, I can only afford a budget of 180. Okay, great. How much are you paying for your electricity in your apartment? About $200 a month. Well, based on low interest rates, if you were to lower your electric bill to say $100 and you free up a disposal an extra $100 a month, that extra $100 based on low rates could get you bumped up about another $15,000 to $20,000 on a home. So would you rather spend that $100 on something tangible that makes you money or throw it away on electricity? So that is The number 2 is going to be the energy efficiency. The number 3, for someone who's a first-time home buyer and doesn't have a lot of money, I always explain to them that a builder is a business. They are not emotionally attached to anything that they build, right? Someone who's selling their house as resale, they believe that their house is worth even more than what the listing agent says you're going to get, right? Because their heart is in the home. So when you go to a builder, and a lot of people don't know this, you can make an offer on a brand new home. The salesperson doesn't tell you that. Just because they have it listed at 210, if I see the house on the market for 30 days, I'm going to say, I'm going to make you an offer, which they do the paperwork, put down 205, and I want you to put in there $5,000 closing costs paid by the builder. They can't say no. They still have to write it up and they have to submit it. So a lot of times the builder, what he's going to do, when I say the builder, is the project manager who looks at the profit margin on each home. He's going to look at how much the builder is standing to make or lose on that property, because they never build with their own money. They take out short-term construction loans, which they're paying the interest on their loans. So at the end of the day, they're willing to negotiate to get from underneath that house. So a lot of times we have better negotiation success on new homes versus resale. Plus, only one person can buy the new home. It's whoever puts their money down first. In a resale market, if the house is $200,000, you have 10 people submitting offers, your client only has 1 in 10 chance of getting that home. So that's the other reason that buying new is probably going to be more beneficial.
And it's such an interesting take on why somebody should buy new homes. And I think when we talk about getting ourselves in niche markets, you know, we have to understand that we need to message differently. It's all about how we message. And I know both you and Christy are working in the new home market, but you're doing it very, very differently. And I find that very interesting. Give us, we've only got about 3 minutes left, Cory, give us a couple of tips on how people should target Facebook ads, Google AdWords, in certain areas to really start generating some leads themselves. You don't always put all of your lead generation in the hands of the so-called lead generation experts. You like to generate your own leads. So give everybody a few tips.
Okay, yeah, and the reason I don't is because I've been lead generation for 17 years before there was a such term called digital marketing. That's back when Yahoo and Bing was king over Google. So areas is the #1 advertisement we're going to run on Google. So for example, homes in the Woodlands starting at 200,000. Now, is there really a lot of homes for 200,000 in the Woodlands? There could be 5 homes as of today, right? So when people are so set on a certain area that they're looking for and they see an ad with a low ball price, kind of like what the builders say, homes starting in the low 100s, right? And really it's like 149,999. Technically it is in the low 100s. So those are the type of ads that people are going to start clicking on. And the way we program Boomtown is when they click on that ad, it's going to show homes literally starting in the 200,000. So you got to make sure that that landing page does match with your advertising. So that's what we do for Google. The second type of ad that we run on Google that has nothing to do with properties is going to be mortgage type ads. For example, $14,000 brand new Texas grant for first time home buyers. When people are getting rejected for mortgages or they got turned down by the builder because they don't have money for down payment, they go to the internet and they start searching around for money, right? So when those ads pop up, it's only natural that they're going to click on it because that's the issue they're having. They don't have any money for down payment. So that is our another ad that we run, and that will actually get us more traffic than with the property search ads. From Facebook, the type of ad, there's 2 ads that we have success with. #1 is ads that have real people in it that typically are in front of their house saying, I just closed on my house. When people are on the internet or on Facebook and they're thinking about buying, they want to see someone similar to them that they can say, if that person can do it, I can do it. So we're not going to run an ad like, here's homes in Spring, Texas. Call us to buy a house, right? No, we're not going to put a picture of a house. We're going to put a picture of a human being, because remember, Facebook is social media. It's people connecting with people. So that is the #1 ad we're going to run. The #2 is going to be our home buying seminars. When you give anything away for free on Facebook and you force somebody to click to get that information, then it's just going to be a phenomenal ad. You got to do a lot of scrubbing of those types of leads though.
I love it. So use the builder strategy of homes for sale starting at $499, even though the $499 might not have a driveway. You know, get them into the subdivision so you can talk, and then advertise the different programs that help people get into home ownership. Cory and Christy, thank you so much for all of the information you have shared. A recording of this webinar will be uploaded to the RIS Media webinar series playlist on YouTube probably sometime this afternoon or fairly quickly. And then we basically have 5 free giveaways. If you go to workmansuccess.com/niche, again, workmansuccess.com/niche, NICHE, you'll number 1, get a copy of today's presentation. Number 2, you'll get the exact copy of the ABCs of lead management that Christy Buck uses in her business. You'll also get a copy of weekly lead accountability via awareness, and it's a new system that people are using, which mirrors exactly what Christy is doing in terms of keeping up with what happened a week ago and a month ago. And I'm telling you, you can apply that in your business and it'll supercharge your lead conversion. We also have a small document that would be a starter for you. Cory, you'll like this. It's 12 steps to improve your credit score. It's something we downloaded and fixed up. You can download it, put your own logo on it, offer it as a free giveaway. And then if you'll notice in the lower left-hand corner, you will also get a list of all approved FHA down payment assistance programs for every state in the country. All you do is go to workmansuccess.com/niche. Christy, thank you so much. Cory, thank you so much. Mac, thank you so much for sponsoring. If you're out there, you're out there and you think you want to take your business to a next level and you'd like to talk to Workman Success Systems about how we might help you do that, we'd love to have a conversation with you. Thanks for attending today. Have a great rest of the month of June and a great second half of 2020.
Yeah. Likewise, Cleve. Yep. Appreciate it, man. Have a good one.
See you later.
Boomtown, RY. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.